So, Universal makes $300 million on this movie and then canceled everything.
He's the first one to kill a vampire in over 100 years.
The sequel, the TV show, the toys, the animated series, the video game, everything. All because this one specific monster, a monster nobody ever saw, was supposed to carry the whole franchise on its back, but it never even made it to the screen. Today, we're walking through 15 secrets from the production of Van Helsing. Number 15. Stephen Sommers grew up in a basement glued to a small television screen. Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, not just watching them, absorbing them.
I shall give you back your life.
30 years later, he got the budget to make it real. $160 million. Universal was betting the entire studio's monster franchise on a shared universe concept in 2004, before Marvel. Before Iron Man proved it could work. The black and white prologue that opens the film, shot specifically to feel like the movies he watched as a kid in that basement. For a moment it worked. Then impossible expectations stepped in. Number 14. Stop.
It is not so bad.
I shall find another bride.
What?
Before we go any further, I need you to actually process that sentence. Richard Roxburgh played Dracula. Sylvia Colica played Verona, one of his 3 brides. They met at the very first script read through. Her opening line to him, completely in character, was, "Hi, I'm Sylvia. I'm your Italian bride."
Bear the sorrow if we fail again.
The words turned out to be prophetic. He didn't just act the role. He inhabited it. Every movement calculated, every moment built for charisma and menace. And somewhere in between the fake fangs and the Romanian accent, something real happened.
Do not fear me. Everybody else fears me. Not my bride.
Richard married Sylvia that same year. They're still together. They have 3 children. Dracula literally married one of his brides in real life. Most people would hear that and assume it's a fun piece of trivia. I think it says everything about how completely he disappeared into that role. Number 13. Kate Beckinsale had just come off Underworld, a film she didn't even want to read the script for, and she walked straight into Van Helsing and decided to do an 80-foot wire jump herself. Not a digital recreation, not a stunt double with her face pasted on. Her, up there, attached to rigging, falling from a height that carried real risk. Multiple takes, multiple attempts. Hugh Jackman later described watching her hit the landing mark 3 times in a row after a stunt double nearly got it wrong and calling her performance like an Olympic gymnast. Beckinsale's response, delivered in full English deadpan, "If you tell an English girl you want a crotch in the face, you're going to get a crotch in the face." For the record, she also walked away with whiplash, multiple bruises, and what she described as impressive hickeys all up her arms from the harness.
Your reputation precedes you.
Next time, stay close. You're no good to me dead.
She wore a sleeveless dress in the coldest location on the entire shoot and still did her own wire work. Why? Because she wanted to deliver a performance so physically committed that nobody could ever question her presence on screen again. And if you watch the film back now, nobody does. Number 12. The creature from the Black Lagoon was supposed to be in this film, not as background decoration, as a major creature. Concept art was commissioned. Physical models were sculpted in clay. Storyboards were drawn showing exactly how the Gill-Man would move through specific scenes. The design team built it. Everyone on set knew this creature was coming. And then, during production, it vanished. Erased. Cut so cleanly that most viewers never noticed anything was missing. The storyboards were filed away. The concept art was shelved. The models went into storage. The creature that almost swam through Van Helsing became a ghost, a phantom limb of the production, visible only to those who knew where to look. Sommers made the call. The film was already juggling Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, and Mr. Hyde. Each required screen time. Each required narrative space. Adding the Gill-Man would have stretched the story too thin. It was the right call. It's also the kind of right call that haunts you, because the surviving concept art shows a version that would have fit the film's visual style perfectly. Number 11. Let's talk about money, because money is what actually killed Van Helsing. The Mummy cost under $100 million and earned over $400 million worldwide. The formula worked. The math was perfect. Then Van Helsing arrived. Budget, $160 million. Global box office, $300 million. By any objective standard in film history, that's a hit. That's a 187% return on investment. That should greenlight sequels. That should launch franchises. Now, the common sense reaction here would be, so what went wrong?
I don't even consider these monster movies. I always say that there are no monsters in these movies, just people with very bad problems.
Here's the final touch.
It's not a horror story, it's a science fiction story.
The answer is one of the most infuriating sentences in Hollywood. The benchmark wasn't objective success. The benchmark was The Mummy. In Hollywood, you don't get rewarded for making $300 million. You get punished for not making $400 million. Within weeks of opening weekend, Universal canceled everything. The NBC Transylvania TV series, fully produced, sets built, scripts written, actors cast. The animated prequel, the video game adaptation, the entire merchandise line, pre-manufactured and sitting in warehouses, and all planned sequels, gone. Completely gone. Not because audiences hated the film, not because critics dismissed it, because the spreadsheet didn't match the fantasy. Number 10. After years of working with difficult talent, Stephen Sommers gave his casting director one instruction. I want nice people only. Not the most famous actors, not the biggest box office draws. Nice people. Kind. Professional. People who wouldn't create drama on set. Hugh Jackman passed. Beckinsale passed. David Wenham passed. Roxburgh passed. All of them partly cast because of their reputation for being good people to work with. The result, on set, between takes, you'd reportedly find Jackman in full Van Helsing costume.
Hugh's character, to debunk that theory, he is genuinely the most generous, happy, uplifting person to be around. He really is a genuinely lovely guy.
Got another one of these?
Complete makeup and prosthetics. Just spontaneously rehearsing dance moves. The crew loved it. And then there's this detail, which is genuinely radical for a $160 million blockbuster. Sommers established a 7:30 p.m. wrap time that was sacred and non-negotiable. Every day, no exceptions. Most blockbusters operate on the assumption that long hours are the cost of doing business. 12, 14, sometimes 16-hour days.
I want you to be so close to the lens that this man starts to cry. When you hear him start to whimper, then you've come probably a little too close.
But Sommers believed a well-rested crew delivers better work than an exhausted one. When actors know their day has a definitive endpoint, they bring sharper focus to every take rather than pacing themselves for an unknown marathon. The energy on set was collaborative. There was laughter. There was play. That's what a 7:30 wrap looks like in practice. Everything you're about to hear in the next 2 beats sounds like a feel-good behind-the-scenes story. It isn't. It's actually the clearest explanation for why this film felt different from every other blockbuster being made at the same time. Number 9. It's before sunrise. The set is dark. Everyone else is still sleeping, and one actor is already in a makeup chair, watching his own face disappear. 7 hours. Every single day of the shoot. Frankenstein's monster required 7 hours of daily makeup, prosthetics, foam latex, paint, aging materials applied with surgical precision, matched exactly to the previous day so continuity held.
Even really wanted it to look like Schuler, because Schuler has such a great face. He didn't want a monster or something scary. He wanted a real humanity to the character.
7 hours before the actor ever stepped in front of a camera. That's not a commute. That's a whole second job before the actual job starts. When the creature appeared on screen, it occupied actual space, cast actual shadows, and interacted with actual environments. A practical creature in a practical space is fundamentally different from digital work. The weight is real. The presence is real. The interaction with light and shadow is real. And here's the thing, those practical effects have aged better than most 2004 CGI. In a film that took a lot of hits for looking fake, the thing that looks most real 20 years later is the one that cost someone 7 hours of their morning, every morning, for months. Next, the detail that tells you more about this production than any box office number ever could. Number 8. Picture this. Between takes on a $160 million blockbuster, a fully costumed Frankenstein's monster is crouching down to eye level with a 6-year-old. The kid is laughing, not screaming. Laughing.
May others be as passionate in their hunting of you.
You're probably thinking, so what? So what is this? Behind the gothic sets and elaborate costumes was a workplace where families felt safe enough to bring their kids to hang out with Frankenstein's monster between shots. That's the vibe Sommers created, and that vibe is in the film. You can feel it. 2 beats of craft coming up, but they're not what they look like. Number 7. Most film scores are locked after picture is finished. The composer watches the cut, writes to it, records it, and that's what you get. The Van Helsing composer did something structurally different. He delivered modular blocks, discrete musical sections designed to be rearranged, swapped, and recombined as the edit evolved. Like building with Lego, except the Lego is an orchestra. If you've ever tried to finish a group project where literally every section keeps getting reshuffled at the last second, you understand the energy. Except in this case, the composer solved it in advance by building a score that was designed to be moved. As scenes were trimmed, reordered, or restructured, the musical pieces could shift along with them. No need for entirely new recordings, just rearrangement. This gave Sommers unusual real-time control over pacing. The result is a film that moves with distinctive energy, sometimes smooth, sometimes abrupt, reflecting its modular origins. The score essentially became another character in the film, and nobody noticed, which means it worked perfectly. Next, the sequence that was specifically designed to make you wince. and did. Number 6. Werewolf transformations had been a horror staple for decades, but Sommers wanted his to stand apart in one specific way. It had to look agonizing, not smooth, not magical, brutal.
Like this, and then one hand, then grab your face and sort of rip your face off and rip your body and you're ripping it.
Skin visibly tearing away to reveal the beast underneath. Every second designed to feel painful and visceral. The goal was not beauty. The goal was to make audiences wince. And achieving that required marrying practical effects and digital animation. Physical elements gave texture and grounding. Digital tools provided the fluid, impossible motion that made the transformation feel alive and deeply unsettling. The final result remains one of the most memorable werewolf sequences in modern film. It wasn't designed to look elegant. It was designed to hurt to watch. 20 years later, in a world full of slick superhero transformations that look great and feel like nothing, that commitment to physical discomfort over visual polish is the thing that makes it still stand out. Before we hit the final 4, one performance detail so specific most people completely missed it. Number 5. Elena Anaya played Aleera, one of the vampire brides. Before filming, she reportedly did something unusual. She studied real bat movement and anatomy, not for method acting, for physicality. The way she tilted her head, bat. The angle of her spine, bat. The rhythm of her attacks, bat. Most viewers watching the film just see a cool vampire bride doing cool vampire bride things.
Just nailed it every single time. Very happy to be there. She's got great body control, and I think the attitude is what shows.
That layer of craft is completely invisible unless you know it's there. And the reason it's invisible is because it worked. When you build a character from something real, even something as specific as bat movement and anatomy, it registers on screen as instinct, not performance. This is actually the thing that separates remembered performances from forgettable ones. Nobody in the audience is thinking great bat physicality. They're just thinking that character is unsettling in a way I can't quite explain. And they can't explain it because they can't see the bats. But the bats are there. Number 4. The Mummy opened on May 7, 1999. Van Helsing opened on May 7, 2004. Exactly 5 years to the day. That wasn't a coincidence. That was a deliberate studio decision. Universal intentionally positioning Van Helsing as the spiritual successor to the Mummy franchise. Same studio, same monster revival era, same summer blockbuster slot. The timing was calculated to signal continuity and legacy. When the studio looks at the calendar and picks your exact release date, they're not being sentimental. They're sending a message to every journalist and investor who covers them. This is the next chapter. The problem is that the same move that was designed to signal this is the heir to the Mummy also invisibly set the financial benchmark as this must perform like the Mummy. May 7th was supposed to be a springboard. It became the measuring stick that killed the franchise. Timing is everything in Hollywood, and in this case, the perfect timing was the thing that made the failure feel inevitable in retrospect. One beat left before the ending. It's the one that makes everything else make sense. Number 3. Before Van Helsing even hit theaters, Universal had already commissioned an NBC series set in the same universe. Fully scripted, budgeted, directors attached, casting complete. They paid to maintain the Eastern European sets. There was an animated prequel, a Dark Horse comic series, a full merchandise line, video game tie-ins with original voice work from the film's cast. The TV series wasn't supposed to be a spin-off. Characters from the film would appear on television. Characters from television would reference events from the film.
Is your blood that shall keep me beautiful? What do you think of that?
That concept is completely standard now. Disney Plus does it constantly. Marvel does it. Every major franchise does it. But in 2004, it was revolutionary. It was untested. And Universal was betting the entire studio's monster franchise on the idea that audiences were ready for it. They weren't. Not yet. Within weeks of opening weekend, all of it was canceled. The TV series, the merchandise, the video game, the sequels. The entire infrastructure built for a shared monster universe died before it could fully exist. What makes it genuinely strange to think about is how completely normal the exact same plan became just 15 years later. Number 2. A decade later, Universal tried again with the Dark Universe, the 2017 Tom Cruise Mummy reboot, designed to launch another shared monster universe. One film. Complete collapse. Franchise dead before the second chapter could be filmed. You're probably sitting there thinking, how does the same studio make the same mistake twice? The answer is that it wasn't quite the same mistake. In 2004, Van Helsing was early. The audience wasn't ready. In 2017, the Dark Universe had a different problem. It launched the franchise without earning it. Instead of making a movie audiences loved and then building a universe around it, they announced the universe first and then made a mediocre movie.
Just wait. Which way out?
I don't know.
The execution failed where Van Helsing had at least gotten the execution right. Van Helsing was the template, the prototype, the blueprint that nobody recognized as a blueprint because it arrived before anyone knew what shared universes were supposed to look like. If it had been released in 2008, after Iron Man proved the concept worked, the entire trajectory would have been different. The TV series would have launched. The sequels would have been greenlit. The merchandise would have sold. But timing is everything in Hollywood. Number 1. In 2004, the critical consensus was harsh. Too loud, too much CGI, disrespectful to the source material, an effects showcase with no emotional core. The film was mocked, dismissed, relegated to guilty pleasure status by the people who didn't outright pan it. 20 years passed, and somewhere around 2023 and 2024, something unexpected happened. The same critics who had dismissed the film were suddenly reappraising it. Ahead of its time, they started calling it the last genuine monster mash Hollywood produced. What changed? The film didn't change. The world did.
You are too late, my friend. My children live.
By 2024, audiences were experiencing genuine CGI fatigue. Modern blockbusters had pushed digital effects so far that artificial-looking creatures were everywhere. Van Helsing's practical effects, which had been mocked in 2004 for looking fake, suddenly looked real compared to the sterile CGI of 2024 blockbusters. The campiness that was criticized as disrespectful became confident. The loudness that was condemned as overwrought became unapologetic artistry. The refusal to take itself seriously became charming sincerity. The film aged into appreciation, not because it got better, because the standards against which it was being judged fundamentally shifted. So what really killed Van Helsing? Not bad filmmaking, not bad performances, not bad ambition. Van Helsing died because it was early. It arrived 4 years before audiences were ready for shared universes. It cost too much for a studio's impossible benchmark. It asked audiences to think across multiple films, TV series, comics, and games as part of a single shared mythology. Before Marvel had proven that such commitment could work at scale. By the time the industry understood what Van Helsing was attempting, the franchise was already dead. But in 2024, that failure became vindication. And the Van Helsing fans who never stopped defending it, they weren't wrong. They were just early too. If you're one of them, drop your favorite scene in the comments. The black and white opening? The Frankenstein transformation? The three brides in full glory? Because Van Helsing fans are still out here. After all these years, that loyalty probably matters more than any box office number ever could. If you love these ahead-of-their-time action spectacles that got punished for being too ambitious too soon, then check out my breakdown of Waterworld next.